Your contacts are here. I don't care if it's $5 million. Little dog.
They're still going to have one camera.
Right.
Was that local?
And it's really good. And then if you need contact her, lots of other ones that I can point you right.
Mr. Mayor, it's time.
I'd like to call this meeting to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for the invocation.
Father, we thank you for those who could be here for this meeting, and we pray that you guide us throughout our decisions this evening. We pray that you're with myself and my colleagues in the council and mayor, those who are also in the audience. Father, we pray that you guide us in all the decisions that we make. You speak through us in the issues that we are about to discuss. We also thank you for being with our children today, with our students, and also with one of my colleagues who had a scare at one of our schools. We thank you for helping us get through that. We thank you for watching over us and protecting us. And we pray that we glorify your name in everything we do. In your son's holy name we pray. Amen.
What do we put in the center? You could be the flag girl.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Alma. Roll call.
Mayor Robert Uribe,
Present.
Councilmember Margaret Morales, present. Councilmember Lindemann,
Present.
Councilmember Donald Hewish,
Here.
Councilmember Ray Shelton,
Here.
Councilmember Cesar Soto,
Here.
Councilmember Jose Quijada,
Yeah.
City Manager Doreen Watson, here. City Attorney Juan Pablo Flores,
Present.
City Treasurer Luis Pedrosa. Mr. Mayor, for the record, Mr. Pedrosa will be a late arrival.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
It's been a very busy day today with certain scares and issues. So at this moment, I'd like to call our Chief Bullen to provide us with an update of the events that took place earlier this afternoon.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. As noted, we did have the occasion to be called to the Douglas High School around 2 p.m. this afternoon after being alerted by school faculty of the possibility of a weapon being on campus. When officers arrived, we determined which classroom the suspected student was in and made contact with the student. The weapon was not found in the student's possession at that point. Investigation ensued, the priority being to locate the weapon for the safety of the faculty and students alike. This, as you know, took a little bit of time for us to investigate. Through that investigation, it was learned that the weapon was on campus the day before, not today's date. we still had the obligation to locate that weapon, to confirm its whereabouts, and to make sure that our students and faculty were safe, which is what we did, and that's why we maintained the campus on lockdown past the hour of dismissal. We did in fact confirm that the weapon was off campus and that students and faculty were safe. The investigation is ongoing at this point, but I did want to commend both the students and faculty for their patience, cooperation, and professionalism throughout, as well as my own staff members for their urgency in trying to bring this to a successful conclusion, which it did, because everyone was safe. So, again, thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, for allowing me to address this issue in our community this evening. I understand that one last kudos is to the parents themselves, because they did exercise tremendous restraint and understanding. So it was a successful conclusion because everyone went home safe this evening. So,
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Foley, for your leadership and men and women. We have, item number 5, we have several introductions of city staff, and we have 2 of them here with us. We have a new deputy city manager. Her name is Dawn Prince, and we also have a city planner, Peter Gardner. So would you both please stand and welcome. And now we have a presentation of proclamation declaring Douglas a Purple Heart City. And I do have a proclamation on behalf of Mayor and Council that I am going to share with you all tonight. Whereas the Purple Heart is the oldest military decoration in present use and was initially created as the badge of military merit by General George Washington in 1782. And whereas the mission of the military Order of the Purple Heart, chartered by an act of Congress, is to foster an environment of goodwill among the combat wounded veteran members and their families, to promote patriotism, but most importantly, to make sure we never forget the sacrifices made by those so decorated. And whereas the Purple Heart was the first American Service Award of Decoration made available to the common soldier and is specifically awarded to members of the United States Armed Forces who have been wounded or paid the ultimate sacrifice in combat. And whereas the City of Douglas appreciates the sacrifice of our Purple Heart recipients made in defending our freedoms and acknowledge those men and women who have served selflessly their country in this community, and for their courage by showing our support and honor. And whereas the City of Douglas recognized that over 200 of Douglas men and women are recipients of the Purple Heart. Now therefore, be it resolved that I, Robert Uribe, Mayor, and on behalf of the City of Douglas, do hereby proclaim the City of Douglas a Purple Heart City. And before we give this amazing round of applause, I want to give a special recognition, because this is a team effort. Mrs. Jeannie Jordan has been an incredible advocate, and I know that she doesn't like to be recognized or like to get a spotlight, but I would be remiss, because she back in 2017, she said, look, I have this vision of recognizing our veterans, and she stopped me at Walmart, and she's like, I need y'all to help me with this vision. And she has been able to organize and mobilize a group of incredible people, and today we are now proclaiming the City of Douglas a Purple Heart City. So congratulations to all of you involved. have the American Legion Post 11, and then we also have the Douglas Veterans Commemoration Project. So if everyone from those two entities would step forward so they can be recognized with their proclamation. And I would encourage council, if you can come down here so we can shake their hands and thank them for their service as well.
Mayor, can you turn this way? How are you?
Mrs. Jordan, I would encourage you to come up forward, and I would encourage Mr. Lucia Spicer to go on. Come on, Mrs. Spicer. And Mrs. Jordan, come on.
Actually, you guys come forward a bit, I'm going to tell you. You get the front. No, you're going in front. Fine. I took from my book, no, let's do it, I just took my book.
Bruce, are you good there?
Yes. This is good, almost tired. All right, here we go, Sean, please. One more. Perfect, thank you. Very good.
Mr. Mayor, I would like to add something right now.
Absolutely. Let's wait for Mr. Shelton. Those are yours. Councilmember Morales?
Yes, I just wanted to say, I had made a recommendation probably a month or two ago about having some designated veterans parking from around Douglas, and I was wondering if we could still do that for the veterans.
Terrific. Wonderful. That was great. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. And now we have presentation of awards that has been spearheaded by Councilmember Morales. And she has a certificate of appreciation for local businesses. La Familia, Douglas Dentu, and LLC Douglas Dentu LLC and Novo Realty LLC. And with that, I'm going to pass over the microphone to Councilwoman Morales.
First, I'd like to recognize Novo Realty for 5 years of service in the Douglas community.
Yes, we're right.
And next is Douglas Dental LLC for 10 years of service to the Douglas community. And then 35 years in service to the Douglas community, La Familia.
One more? Good, thank you.
We also have a set of awards that Councilmember Grijalva spearheaded, and he, along with council, would like to recognize, and I'm not sure they're here, but we have Mario Iniguez, Joe Daniel, Ivan Martinez, Rene Rios, Luis Majaca, and Max Tapia. And I don't see them here. They have done a tremendous work of organizing and moving us into a different space, and they've done a tremendous job of helping the city with the vision of Ms. Watson along with council. And we're just thankful for their hard work, and Ms. Councilmember Grijalva suggested recognizing them. So I'm going to pass over the microphone to Councilmember Grijalva.
This kind of all started when I was having my monthly one-on-one with City Manager Watson this month, and I kept hearing banging. And we looked at it, and it was our workers working hard. And one conversation I had with her was, we need to recognize our employees. They are our backbone. We might get the attention, but without them, the city doesn't work. You know, they make us look good. So we need to appreciate them. We need to show them the recognition they deserve. And hopefully this can be a monthly thing, because we have a lot of workers who are deserving of it. And there shouldn't be any nervousness or coming up and getting the recognition they've worked hard to get. So I just want to tell them I appreciate the work. I appreciate all of our employees, and if they're not going to come, we're going to pick those who are here, so then they could get the ball rolling. But so we're going to appreciate, we're going to show our recognition. So I want to thank them for their hard work. And when you pass by, look at the job they've done. It's been a great job. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Grijalva. Without any further ado, we're going to jump into we have a presentation/discussion by Ms. Ramirez, Advisor International LLC, which is an update at the request of council concerning the Port of Entry project and its progress. So, Mr. Ramirez, welcome back to Douglas, Arizona, and the floor is all yours.
Mayor, members of council, thanks so much for granting me the opportunity to present before you today. I too want to join the congratulations for the police department and for the high school. We were receiving the news while we were debriefing before this meeting, so just happy to hear everything is fine. And as a parent of children that are in high school, it does come close.
Sure, thank God.
So yes, congratulations to everyone involved in the outcome. The presentation that I'm about to give you tonight is quite different than any other presentation I've given before. Last week I was invited to meet with City Manager, Mayor, Councilman Hewish, to sort of talk about kind of next steps. And at the direction of Councilman Hewish, the presentation tonight is going to touch on 4 specific areas. Where we were with the Port of Entry, where we are with the Port of Entry, where we need to go with the Port of Entry, and ultimately and finally, a listing of all those entities we have met with and touched base with in order to either gather support or advance the project on both sides of the port. So with that, as always, I always welcome your comments, questions throughout. And the other thing that I want to mention is, and I'll show it in the first slide. I don't know which way to point. No? Which way do I point? There we go. This is the only slide that has numbers in it. Specific request from the councilman not to be presenting data and statistics.
I'm sorry, Mr. Ray, I'm going to interrupt you to clarify that. I said I was a little bit tired of hearing how many trucks came across and how many pedestrians.
Again,
so this is good.
Very limited use of numbers throughout this entire presentation, aside from the dates or slide numbers, and those are going to stay in there. But all kidding aside, let me tell you what it was when what we saw when we were recruited by city leadership, almost exactly 2.5 years ago, to come in and start addressing the issues of the Port of Entry. The situation, essentially, which continues today, the infrastructure is in dire need of immediate repairs and improvements at the existing port. just to maintain current operations on both sides of the border. The port of entry, primarily on the Mexican side, was landlocked. There's simply no space for any significant improvement on the Mexican side. Location of the port of entry forces the flow of hazardous materials through the population centers of both Agua Prieta and Douglas. The mining sector, which operates primarily in Cananea and Nacosari, requires the flow of oversized and overweight trucks that interrupt traffic, usually for multiple hours at a time. Wait times for non-commercial traffic today exceed 80 minutes for northbound traffic, and during the school year can exceed over 60 minutes for southbound traffic. Safety concerns remain due to the intermingling of trucks and cars, and actually at this port, only trucks and cars, but even pedestrians. The port, we are seeing the impacts to our work, our port of entry activities, from the enhanced enforcement activities that have been mandated by the Department of Homeland Security. And we continue to experience a dramatic shortage of staffing at our port of entry. So that's kind of the situation that we saw at the port of entry. Again, these are just basic highlights. I'm sure we can get into a lot more details about it. Happy to answer some questions. But where? Again, I don't know where I'm pointing. Behind you? But the first thing that we did when we came in was to do an assessment of where the project for the port of entry was. And after an extensive assessment in both the United States and Mexico, we were able to confirm, sadly, that the Douglas or Raul H. Castro port of entry was not included in top priority discussions at the regional, state, by state, or by national level. Simply stated, the project did not exist.
Well, what do you mean by that? Just when you mean that when you said that the project did not exist, does that mean that we were not considered? That means that what we were referring to as far as in the past, that the project was moving swiftly, that the notion that this project was in the 5-year plan. What does that mean that we were not on the radar?
Again, this is back 2.5 years ago. This is not today. 2.5 years ago, there was a lot of discussions of modernization of the existing port of entry and others. And there was talk about a project to modernize the port of entry. There had been talk, probably going back to 2005. There have been multiple efforts to modernize the existing port. So there was this conception, or perception, I should say, that there was a project to modernize the port of entry.
But nothing was.
Now, what we had to do, excuse me for interrupting, what we had to do was not whether we thought there was a project or not, was whether the federal agencies in both the United States and Mexico, congressional leadership, state agencies, both sides of the border, whether they were aware that there was a project to advance the port of entry.
So in not so many words, you're saying that we're currently where we should be at, but in the past we weren't.
Well, I haven't even gotten to where we are today.
Okay.
But yes, at that point in time when we came in, there was simply no discussion of a national priority. There was no project specific to Douglas and the modernization of the port. Additionally, among the other things that we found here locally, and we had multiple stakeholder meetings, private conversations, reaching out to industry, there was a lack of consensus at the local level where what was going to be identified as the project. And in fact, I tried to come up with a list of the various things that we heard during the first few weeks and months of our involvement back here in Douglas. Some advocated for a fix in place, clearly taking the existing port and modernizing. Others was there was an opportunity to leverage the space that was immediately west of Pan American Avenue and expand the port on that side of the border, that side of the highway. Others advocated for Kings Highway. Others were advocating for James Ranch Road. And by others, it might have been one individual, might have been whole groups of individuals, but those were the discussions we heard, and we needed to hear that feedback in order to define where we were going. There was also discussion of a public-private partnership. At that point in time, there was simply no perception or expectation that the federal government would ever come in and pay for this. And the discussion was, do we pursue a public-private partnership, bring in a private sector entity, pay for the facilities, but that would require a toll for anyone to use them. And finally, There was even discussions with people who were simply focused on building a new port without really being concerned as to what was going to happen with the old port. And that just kind of gives you just a broad gamut of feedback we were getting, and all of them, to one way or another, have merit. Cost implications, how quickly it can be done, permitting, but we needed to make sure there was a cohesive message that we were going to go beyond Douglas to advocate for the project. So in other words, without consensus, we could not advance the project outside of the local community. Previous efforts had left a negative perception about the opportunity and ability to work with Douglas, and how Douglas would respond if there was an initiative at the federal level to modernize the port. Was there going to be a consensus? Was there going to be a divided approach to what needed to be done? And there had been a lack of follow-through on efforts that led to a multi-year delay. And multi-year, if we really go back to 2005, we're talking about a decade and a half, in really advancing initiatives necessary to put forward a project for the Port of Entry. So the results of all our assessment was Douglas was not in line for funding to solve the port issues. There was negative impacts to the local community because the port continues to be heavily congested, all the issues that I outlined at the beginning, and there was a lack of cohesive messaging by various stakeholders and discouraged outside involvement in advancing the project. City leadership at that point in time, and this is where we stepped in, we were recruited in order to define and implement a strategy to find a long-term solution to the border crossing issues and the impacts to economic development. Here it is. Where we were, where we are. There we go. Today, I'm proud to say, happy to say, with tremendous participation from council, administration, a number of stakeholders in the community, Douglas is now a national and binational list. It is in the national and binational list of priority projects. This is not only on the U.S.-Mexico border, but also on the U.S.-Canada border. For Customs and Border Protection, they would simply receive one pot of money, and they have to divide out whether it's north or southern border. So to say that we're a priority, it is a national priority list, not a U.S.-Mexico border priority list. And I'm proud to say we were actually able to achieve that in roughly 2 years. For other projects that we have been involved in, which have been many, usually just to get us to that level of prioritization, we're talking 5 to 7 years. And in fact, some projects waited close to a decade before they were really elevated to that level. Where we are today is also, we are now being considered for possible funding in the fiscal year 2021. Douglas is a top-of-mind regional, state, and binational subject for a number of initiatives. And the project, as we have demonstrated in multiple instances, enjoys broad spectrum support from regional, state, federal, and binational stakeholders for a two-port solution. How we got here? Can't remember exact date, but I think it was in April or May of last year. We actually presented a project framework which really mapped out a series of activities, some sequential, some conducted at the same time, that would provide a path for us to follow in order to elevate the needs of Douglas, gain stakeholder support, secure partnership with federal agencies, pursue federal commitment to pay for the project, and position Douglas for consideration for federal and congressional funding. I do want to highlight the issue of consideration for federal funding. Where we are today, and being considered for fiscal year 2021, means that the federal government is the one that's going to be investing in our port of entry, and our port of entry issues. We will not be assessed a toll for the operation of those facilities, and that makes a very positive message for recruiting companies that are looking to invest in the binational area Douglas is located. We have developed, positioned, and promoted the two-port solution for Douglas. It's also included extensive work with our Prieta in order to create a binational consensus at the local level for the project. For those of you that have been around for a while, you may recall that in the early 2000s, some of the issues, one of the biggest obstacles that came up with the project at that point in time was on the Mexican side. There was a group pushing for downtown modernization. Another group was talking about the new port of entry. That level of the lack of cohesiveness actually led to us losing the money, now 15 years ago. We sought to include regional and state stakeholder support through outreach, networking, scheduling stakeholder meetings and briefings, and by working at local levels with stakeholders and federal agencies. Now, when we work with a federal agency, it's not just here locally with our Customs and Border Protection Port Director. You also have to work with the field office in Tucson. You also have to work with headquarters in Washington, D.C. We scheduled key meetings for leadership in both Mexico and the United States, and I have to give kudos to the mayor. Sometimes we're a little asleep in Washington, D.C. We surrounded them with a bunch of people from both the U.S. and Mexico, and I shouldn't say a bunch of people, it's federal agency representatives. So we would attend an official meeting and set up meetings in the hallway, and the mayor was switching back and forth between Spanish and English and talking to the Mexican Department of Transportation as well as U.S. Customs at the headquarter level in Washington, D.C. We did that in Mexico City. We've done it in multiple locations and throughout multiple meetings. Another thing that we did was arrange visits for Douglas by key stakeholders, including Governor Ducey. One of the things that we committed to doing is not only conveying our message, but inviting people to come and see what was going on in Douglas. Not only the challenges, but the opportunities as well. And I think one of the highlights of the people that came and visited was, of course, the governor, which most all of you were present at that meeting. And I think it's led to the governor knowing the issues firsthand. He toured the port. He came to City Hall. When we talked to the governor about the issues at the port of entry, he could make that connection immediately because he was there and he was standing. We have made sure that Douglas was included in broader border, trade, economic development, and security efforts and initiatives that can be seen in the Douglas business case, which has been presented to you before, as well as the Gateway to Arizona Douglas video, which is now available on state websites. It's not just the city of Douglas that's pushing it, but the Arizona Commerce Authority, Arizona Office of Tourism, the Arizona Mexico Commission, and the Office of the Governor. All these are essentially tools that can be used to promote economic development of Douglas and the region. We also worked with you and you, Mayor, and Council to encourage the city to participate in the donation acceptance program. I remember getting a lot of questions, some publicly, some privately, why are we donating a parking lot? It's the federal government. What is it that how come we can do it and they can't pay for it? Unfortunately, the federal government has very limited resources. We need to find ways to make that connection with the federal agencies and for them to see that we are prepared to do what we can. That we're not showing up with just head in hand, but we're willing to make a contribution to the efficiency of the port of entry. That not only demonstrated our willingness to participate and partner with them, but it also brought in, they won't give us an official number, but we're estimating about $500,000 to $600,000 of investment in our parking lot, all paid for by Customs and Border Protection and the federal government, not paid by Douglas, the city of Douglas or the local community. We've organized multiple meetings that feature Customs and Border Protection and the General Services Administration here in Douglas. We've brought the people who are now leading the charge internally within the federal government to Douglas. Every one of the meetings has been open to the public. We've tried to promote it as much as we can. Some we had 40, 50 people, some we had quite a few more. But it's an opportunity for the community to hear directly from the federal agencies. We will continue to do that. We have presented the two port solutions to the Office of the Governor, the Arizona Congressional Delegation, and have confirmed to date unanimous consensus support from all of our congressional offices, that is 9 members of the House and 2 senators, for the Douglas two-port solution. In fact, most of them are simply waiting for the results of the feasibility study, which I will talk about in a little bit, so that they can then go fight for the funding that is required for the port of entry. We've worked, and it wasn't just finding the long-term solution, we're also looking for those short-term solutions. We work with Customs and Border Protection on deploying unified cargo processing. Yes. Oh, sorry. Thank you for your time. We also work with Customs and Border Protection to expand the Unified Cargo Processing Project that was initially started in Nogales to be available here for Douglas. It's a tremendous gain in efficiency for the maquilas, particularly operating in Douglas and Urbieta, to have unified cargo processing. Again, that was also enabled by the donation of the parking lot, by granting CBP additional space for the staging, particularly of the southbound trucks. We scheduled multiple meetings and presentations, Phoenix and Hermosillo, Mexico City, Washington, D.C., San Diego, and I can't remember all the other places where you, particularly Mayor, have presented in multiple instances to make sure that Douglas was included in any binational or regional meeting. We've encouraged federal agencies to conduct the feasibility study. We were actually questioned when we were informing council and all of our stakeholders, particularly the EDC, Douglas Economic Development, Regional Economic Development Corporation, IDA, and Port Authority, why we were pushing for a feasibility study, why do we need another study for? And again, the feasibility study that GSA conducts is not a typical feasibility study that typically sits in somebody's desk, excuse the redundancy. The feasibility study is actually an essential step in order to advance the port of entries. Provides, well, we will never see it. It is not a public document. We will know the results. Primarily, one, that it confirms a two-port solution. Second, that it will provide a conceptual design for what a new port will look like. And ideally, it will also talk about the modernization of the existing port. And finally, it should provide a cost estimate that we can then provide to our government and our congressional delegation to go fight. Right now, we tell them to go fight for the two-port solution. They don't know what they're asking for in terms of dollars. That is why the feasibility study was critical. We worked with the City of Douglas. I was here before you earlier this year on the non-binding resolution on James Branch Road. Again, demonstrating to Customs and Border Protection and General Services Administration that we're willing to partner and do our fair share with what we got. Thank you again for your approval of that donation, and as Ms. Watson can attest, GSA is already doing their due diligence on that land as we speak. We also work with ADOT to secure their commitment on the design and engineering of the road that would connect the new port of entry at the border on James Branch Road to State Route 80. Does not mean a commitment to pay for it, but once you have the design and engineering of what the road is going to look like and a cost estimate, then you can work with the Arizona Transportation Board and get it included into the 5-year plan and make it eligible for future funding by ADOT for that essentially mile-and-a-half road, certainly less than 2 months. Where do we go from here? I have already addressed the issue of the feasibility study, and that is such a critical step. But once we have the results, which we keep hearing from GSA that November 9th, Watson, November 9th is going to be the day where the study is completed, and we hope to hear the cost estimate, and again, potentially see the design, what the new port of entry is going to look like. We've also worked with the State Department to commit them that once the feasibility study is completed, the State Department will issue a diplomatic note. It's a very protocol-driven document informing Mexico of the results of the feasibility study. That essentially forces the hand of Mexico to respond to that diplomatic note, acknowledging two-port solution, and secondly, that the preferred location, because of the donation that is being proposed by the city, will be at James Branch Road in Mexican side. We will continue to work with our congressional delegation in the Office of the Governor to advance the funding request once we know what we're asking for. Again, I stress that in only 2 years, the two-port solution is eligible for consideration of funding in fiscal year 2021. We will continue to work with our project technical team, local, state, and federal stakeholders, and actually I should include also some private sector stakeholders, such as APS and Cox Communications, so we can look at the broader issues of infrastructure, and not just to meet the needs of the port of entry, but the potential industrial, commercial, and potentially even residential development anywhere between Chino Road all the way to James Branch Road. This is what opens up for Douglas. Tremendous opportunity for development in all those areas. Additionally, we're actually today we submitted the letter, today or yesterday, the day of learning. A letter of intent to be sent by the City of Douglas to the Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, indicating the willingness or intent to participate in a study funded by the EPA for urban design and development for here in Douglas. Again, this is an opportunity that in partnership with EPA and GSA, we can come up with a plan that leverages the work that the city is already doing with our new perfect timing, to leverage the investment that can be made by the federal government at James Ranch Road and at the existing port, anywhere between $150 to $300 million probably in the next 5 to 7 years. How do we leverage that for additional growth, additional economic development, recruiting additional companies, attracting new investment, creating jobs, and ultimately for the city, expanding the tax base. Sorry. Went too far. Won't go back? There. Oh. There we go. Where do we go from here? We have to continue the binational coordination at the local, state, and federal level. We must continue to work with the federal agencies on the efficient design of the new port of entry, deployment of leading-edge technologies, and to maximize the investment that is being made. The basic premise is if you're going to build something today, it's going to have to last us for 10, 20, 30, 40 years. Not only to meet those needs, but also that if additional demands are put on the port of entry, it can easily be expanded. So you're not tearing down a building in order to expand it, you're literally maybe just knocking down a wall and extending, and that really minimizes the additional investment in the future. We're working to leverage federal and just expand it, I just talked about that, my apologies. And right now we're working with the city to schedule a number of border visits so that we can look at lessons learned, whether good or bad, best practices in other border communities. So we're working with visits to the city of San Luis, the city of Calexico, San Isidro, and also the city of El Paso. It's been a little challenging with everybody's schedules, but of course we continue to work with Ms. Watson in order to finalize that as quickly as possible. Are you doing it? Yeah. There's also a number of issues we've been working on, and I thought I would include this because we're not just focused specifically on advancing the port of entry itself. Again, the mayor has reminded us time and time again that the end game is not the port of entry, but rather what the port of entry is going to allow us to do. So we continue to work in a number of issues. Some are efficiency, some are economic development. But for instance, has not impacted Douglas as much, but the Federal Motor Carrier and Safety Administration, FMCSA, came out with a proposal to build standalone facilities for safety inspections of trucks, particularly at Nogales and San Luis. While we continue to fight that in Nogales and San Luis, we were concerned that the future design for Douglas, for the new port of entry, would create separate facilities for ADOT and the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, therefore force trucks to stop at Customs, stop at FMCSA, stop at ADOT. So we did not want to lose the co-location commitment for our project here in Douglas. That's why we continue to fight in other border communities. Arizona-Mexico border study. We are expecting that to be published, released by ADOT, literally in the next week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. And we made sure that Douglas was included as part of that feasibility, that transportation corridor study, which looks at the Arizona border all the way to central Mexico. We continue our participation on binational protocol meetings. There's in fact one coming up in November in Hermosillo, November 4th and 5th, which is the U.S.-Mexico Binational Bridges and Border Crossings meeting. We're still trying to define who's going to be there on behalf of the city, but it is essential that the city presents during that meeting. And also to mention the issue of the tomato suspension agreement. Douglas does not cross tomatoes at this point in time, but we were afraid that the push to increase or to terminate the suspension agreement, create a new one that makes Mexican tomatoes more expensive, was a door opener to bell peppers, cucumbers. Could go to different commodities. That's why the fight over the tomato suspension agreement was so critical, so that it did not spill over to a number of other commodities. Next one, please. And Councilman, as you requested, Here's a sample listing of stakeholder agencies and entities we have reached out with. They're extensive, and this is not all inclusive. From the Office of the Government, Arizona-Mexico Commission, and a minimum of 4 committees. I've already mentioned the Department of Transportation, Commerce Authority, Tourism, the U of A, Arizona Department of Environmental Quality, Department of Homeland Security, Arizona Department of Homeland Security, Arizona State Legislature. Next slide, please. The entire congressional delegation, both in the House and Senate, plus all those federal agencies, including the International Body of Water Commission, North American Development Bank, and the Embassy of Mexico in the United States. This is just a sample listing. There's still more agencies that we have met with. And if you go to the next slide, not only the U.S. side, but also the Mexican side. Everything from the Office of Governor Pavlovich, her administration, the department, counterpart ADOT Seguro, the Ministry of the Department of the Economy, Cooperación, the council that promotes the state of Sonora, working with other municipalities on the Mexican side, as well as the state legislature in Sonora. Next slide, please. And there's all these federal agencies, and several of them have different arms and independent entities that we have to deal with. We deal with Hacienda. We also deal with the Mexican version of the IRS. And once you deal with the Mexican IRS, you also deal with Mexican Customs. So we may list the Ministry of Treasury, but there's probably 3 or 4 different agencies we're dealing with, assist with the Department of Treasury on the Mexican side. And we also touch base with the Embassy of Mexico, the Embassy of the United States in Mexico. So Mayor, members of Council, I apologize for taking so long. I really tried to be very brief in this presentation. Again, we were taking very specific direction from you, Councilman. I hope we have met your expectations for this presentation. Of course, we're open to thoughts, comments, or questions.
Mr. Mayor?
Mr. Hughes.
Mike, could you please touch on briefly the years that you have taken to develop the relationships that you have with these departments, both on this side and the south side, and how do you continue to maintain those?
Councilman, thank you for that question. I've been involved in U.S.-Mexico border issues from energy to transportation security for almost exactly 30 years. My firm has been in existence February 2nd of 2020, will be 15 years. And it's a constant process of maintaining those relationships. It is not only getting to know the people in the respective agencies or offices, but then there's always a transition to a new administration. So it is a continual process of maintaining relationships with existing people, as well as continuing to build new ones. We never get involved in electoral processes because we have to work with whoever's in office. I think probably the best way to demonstrate that is that my firm has had with a client now Governor Napolitano, Governor Brewer, and Governor Ducey, 2 Republicans and 1 Democrat, without an impact to what we were able to do. We do that at almost every agency level, which is one of the main reasons why we show up to the binational meetings. And it's just not the presentation, but it's all the conversations we do in the hallways, the personal phone calls, and finding out. It is different to be in front of a protocol meeting and hearing from federal agencies, and then pulling them off to the side and hearing the truth, which is a talent that has developed over many years. It is also a number of people within federal agencies on both sides of the border knowing the success of the work we have done on behalf of multiple projects, and then being able to trust that when they communicate with us, it is for constructive purposes, not for destructive ones.
So if I could just follow up real briefly. So your Rolodex is quite thick.
Yeah.
Does that still exist, Rolodex?
Yeah, Rolodex. And you asked that question specifically, and I drive my staff insane because my contacts list, my personal contacts list is right now almost reaching 7,000 people all over North America.
Any other questions from Mr. Shelton?
Have you picked up on the attitude and what's happening in Mexico with the federal government, with Sonora, are they pretty well on board also? I know we're doing all we can do. Oh, what are they doing over there?
And in fact, thank you, Councilman, for the question. In fact, we've confirmed the municipality of Agua Prieta, as many of you have heard directly, fully on board. The state of Sonora, particularly through the Office of the Governor and SILUD, their counterpart to our Department of Transportation, is fully on board. We've also briefed, my staff will probably correct me, I think I was in May meeting with Mexican Customs, Mexican Department of Transportation. We were briefing and actually delivering copies of the presentation on our two-port solution. Even while I was sitting in that meeting, the person we were presenting to got called in by the president, and he was transferred to a different agency. So we had to leave the information for staff to make sure that the new person was going to be getting it. It is a constant process of maintaining all the federal agencies on both sides of the border informed. We're also waiting for the exchange of diplomatic notes that confirms the two-port solution. Then we go, as we have already asked Presidente Municipal Agua Prieta, we will be taking trips to Mexico City specifically as a follow-up to the exchange of diplomatic notes between the two governments.
Mr. Mayor, I may add to that. I know meetings that you and I, Councilman Grijalva and Soto and many others, the Arizona-Mexico Commission, we've heard directly from some of these people out of Mexico, directly from their mouths to our ears, that they're fully on board. So it's not just telling him that, they're also telling us that. And I can attest to that.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Mr. Grijalva, Soto? The only recommendation that Mr. Hewish did mention during our discussion was more pictures.
Well,
no numbers.
No data. No numbers, no data.
Look, I think that we're in a great state right now. There's a ton of excitement. I feel it whenever any of us travel around the state or out of the country or to Mexico. There is this strong support for Douglas, Arizona. I couldn't agree with you more with the fact that we are definitely on the radar. And we certainly have the support, not only just from the state or the county, but we have the support from our counterparts in Mexico, and we have the support of the White House right now, which is tremendous. There's an exuberant amount of excitement for this port of entry project, and we have been doing a lot of the legwork. So this is a really fun time for us. Thank you for your presentation. As Mr. Hewish would recommend, more pictures next time. Thank you so much.
Can I make a quick comment on that?
Yeah.
If you visit the city website, as well as you look at the newsletters we have been issuing for Police on the Border newsletters, we have provided dozens and dozens and dozens, and if I didn't say it enough, dozens of pictures of all the activities that you and the other partners here in the community have been undertaking to advance this project. They're available, and we're happy to provide even.
It's a team effort.
Absolutely.
It's a team effort.
Mayor, excuse me, before we leave the subject, I'd also like to thank our economic development people, Mr. Sheridan, who leads that group, for their involvement and backing and positiveness for this project, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Ramirez. Thank you. Before we jump into the call to the public, I'll read a decorum brief paragraph here. Rules of conduct will be followed by all calls to the public speakers. Each speaker will be given up to 3 minutes to speak. I will let you know when there are 30 seconds left to speak. I ask all speakers to observe rules of decorum and good conduct. I will not allow any speaker to make any personal, impertinent, or slanderous remarks. I ask the audience to observe the same rules of decorum and good conduct. And no person shall interrupt the legislative proceedings. With that being said, we're going to jump into item number 9. A person wishing to address the council verbally or any item on the agenda. Thank you, Ms. Vela. Thank you. Ms. Ortiz?
My name is Tanya Duarte. I'm at 2001 9th Street, Douglas. While we have many individuals in this community that make many good things happen for all of us, we must look at what should be the heartbeat of our community, our leadership in City Hall. Our heartbeat is failing. The ethics, integrity, and fellowship are failing. We have tourists that come into town. They hear about what's going on. They see things on Facebook. The first thing they say is, "Oh, your mayor loves himself, doesn't he?" All I do is stay professional and I say, well, I guess he feels he should. We have a city that says they want our input, but then silence us with poor scheduling of events or outright banging the gavel and silencing us. We have a city who allows, and in fact promotes, those who intentionally violate laws, policy, and ethics, such as the Jessica Loma Lee case. The City Hall, with the assistance of the city attorney, allowed an employee to release private, confidential, employee-related correspondence with no investigation, no reprimand, no concerns at all about the lack of integrity coming from these walls that represent all of our leadership. That investigation was intentionally delayed so that the AG would dismiss it, which they did by saying, it's been too long. There was no computer record sent to them, according to an officer in the AG's office, and DPD failed to secure the computers. The city did not conduct an administratively internal investigation to even attempt to find which of the 9 people involved released the information. It would have been easy with the use of IT forensics within the city investigators and IT department to have completed that internally. The city smells of corruption that the upgraded sewer plant cannot clean, only ethical leadership can. No responsibility has ever been taken by the mayor, whose Facebook pages those were on, or our current city manager for those unethical actions. No apologies have happened. Obviously, the leadership has learned nothing,
Mr. Mayor,
and nothing will change. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Duarte. Item number 11, discussion decision on approval of second reading of ordinance number 19-1113.
Mayor, I believe we're on
Sorry.
item 10.
I apologize, I got overly excited. Actually, item number 10, discussion decision on approval of consent agenda items.
Mayor,
Yes, Mrs. Morales?
I move that mayor and council approve consent agenda items, meeting minutes for July 10, 2019, and August 14, 2019.
Is there a second? Second. Motion by Councilmember Morales, second by Councilmember Shelton. Roll call?
Councilmember Morales?
Yes.
Councilmember Lindo?
Yes.
Councilmember Stewart?
Yes.
Councilmember Shelton?
Yes.
Councilmember Soto?
Yes.
Councilmember Grijalva?
Yes.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes. Motion carries. And now we'll jump into item number 11, discussion decision on approval of second reading of ordinance number 19-1113, an ordinance of the mayor and council of the city of Douglas, Cochise County, Arizona, amending the city's personnel rules and regulations adopted pursuant to ordinance number 684 and amended by ordinances 971712, 99-1749, 00786, 03-846, 07-909, 08-944, 14-1045, and 171079, establishing severability of components of ordinance and establishing and effective date thereof. May I have a motion to approve?
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Shelton?
I recommend the mayor and council approve the second reading of ordinance number 91113 and to place it on third reading by number and title only.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Shelton. It was seconded by Councilmember Morales. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Councilmember Morales?
Yes.
Councilmember Lindemann?
Yes.
Councilmember Lewis?
Yes.
Councilmember Shelton?
Yes.
Councilmember Soto?
Yes.
Councilmember Grijalva?
Yes.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, motion carries.
In order for the mayor and council of the city of Douglas, Purchase County, Arizona, amending the city personnel rules and regulations adopted pursuant to ordinance 684 and amended by ordinance 97-712, 99-749, 00-786, 03-746, 07-909, 08-944, 14-1045, and 17-1029, establishing severability of components of ordinance and establishing an effective date thereof.
Item number 12, discussion decision on approval of first reading of ordinance number 19-1114, an ordinance of the mayor and council of the city of Douglas, Cochise County, Arizona, authorizing the sale of a semi-improved parcel of land located on the 900 block of 2nd Street, lots 9 and 10, within parcel number 409-1493C as in cat to Joseph L. Garcia and Maria de la Luz Garcia, husband and wife, pursuant terms entered into the parties, establishing severability of components of ordinance and establishing an effective date thereof.
Mayor?
Mr. Flores, would you like to hear some of the background?
Sure. No, I buried my word, I thought.
Okay.
No.
Thank you, Mayor. Just as a little bit of background, as you know, this particular property sale is subsequent to the arrangement that was made, settling all differences between Cass School.
Would you mind putting the mic a little bit closer to you so they can...
Yes, this particular real estate transaction that has been programmed with Mr. and Mrs. Garcia was subsequent to the city's conclusion of the sale within the same block to Cass School. So the protocol was that we were going to finish with that initial sale to the school, and then we were going to follow up with the sale to Mr. and Mrs. Garcia. This is basically lots 9 and 10 within that block, immediately adjacent to Mr. and Mrs. Garcia's property. This is the first reading, and we will proceed to handle this matter in-house.
Terrific. Thank you. Mrs. Morales, would you like to make that motion?
Yes, I would.
Yeah.
I move that mayor and council approve the placement of ordinance number 19-1114 and to place it on first reading by number and title only.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Morales, second by Councilmember Hewish. Any discussion from council? Roll call.
Ward 1?
Yes.
Councilmember Morales for the record. Councilmember Lindemann?
Yes.
Councilmember Hewish?
Yes.
Councilmember Shelton?
Yes.
Councilmember Soto?
Yes.
Councilmember Grijalva?
Yes.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes. Motion carries. May I have a motion?
Mr. Mayor?
Mr. Hewish.
Move that the mayor and council approve the first reading of ordinance number 19-1114 and to place it on second reading by number and title only.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Hewish, second by Councilmember Morales. Roll call.
Councilmember Morales?
Yes.
Councilmember Lindemann?
Yes.
Councilmember Hewish?
Yes.
Councilmember Shelton?
Yes.
Councilmember Soto?
Yes.
Councilmember Grijalva?
Yes.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes. Motion carries.
In order to the mayor and council of the city of Douglas, Cochise County, Arizona, authorizing the sale of a semi-improved parcel of land located on the 900 block of 2nd Street, lots 9 and 10, within parcel number 409-14-93C to Joseph L. Garcia and Maria de la Luz Garcia, husband and wife, pursuant to terms entered into by the parties, establishing severability of components of ordinance and establishing an effective date thereof.
Item number 13, discussion decision on approval of resolution number 19-1369, a resolution of the mayor and council of the city of Douglas, Cochise County, Arizona, authorizing the submission of a grant application to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD, for the Housing Choice Voucher Family Self-Sufficient FSS program. And for this particular item, we have the amazing Zenia Gonzalez.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, city staff. This is a grant that my housing department has been administering for the Department of Housing and Urban Development since 2009. The notice of funding just came out on September 28th. The submission date for this grant is October 28th of this year, and we are requesting approval to submit the grant application on behalf of the City of Douglas Housing Department.
Mr. Mayor?
Mr. Hewish?
I move that the mayor and council approve resolution number 19-1369.
Second?
All right, Mr. Shelton. Motion by Councilmember Hewish, second by Councilmember Shelton. Any discussion from council?
Mr. Mayor?
Mr. Hewish?
Did I understand, Mrs. Gonzalez, that we're in the program already?
Yes, Councilman Hewish, we, former directorship for housing applied to Housing and Urban Development to establish this program and get funding for it. And it is an application that we have to apply for annually. It runs on a calendar year basis from January to December.
It sounds like a really neat project to try to help people move themselves out of government assistance into being a very productive part of the community. And so I applaud that effort, and I think it's exciting. That's how it should work.
Thank you.
Any additional comments?
Yeah, just as mayor, I just wanted to thank Mrs. Zenia Gonzalez because she's not only doing this, writing grants, but she's also busy with the census. So, I mean, I appreciate everything that you're doing for our city, for our residents. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Roll call?
Councilmember Morales?
Yes.
Councilmember Lindemann?
Yes.
Councilmember Hewish?
Yes.
Councilmember Shelton?
Yes.
Councilmember Soto?
Yes.
Councilmember Grijalva?
Yes.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes. Motion carries. Item number 14, discussion decision on approval of resolution number 191370, a resolution of the mayor and council of the city of Douglas, Cochise County, Arizona, authorizing the city to accept grant funding from the Bureau of Justice Assistance in the amount of $5,228.14 under the fiscal year 2019 Bulletproof Vest Partnership solicitation. Chief Bullen.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, the department submitted the request through the fiscal year 2019 Bulletproof Vest Partnership solicitation. This program does require a 50% match from the requesting agency for new vest purchases and replacement. This is the third such award that we've received in the past several years. We do not submit for it on an annual basis. It's just as we need to for our vest replacements. Our ballistic vests carry a 5-year warranty, and we replace them at the end of that cycle. Our vests must meet or exceed the standards set forth by the National Institute of Justice in order to be eligible for reimbursement, and the program does provide the list of vendors and eligible products. This grant period runs from April 1st, 2019 through August 31st, 2021. The total award amount is $5,220.14. We will be looking to cover the initial cost for the vest purchases, plus our 50% match, which equates to about $10,440.28 over the 3-year award period. For the current fiscal year, we do have $3,300 budgeted for replacement vests, and we'll budget accordingly in subsequent fiscal year for the additional vests.
Mr. Mayor?
Mr. Hewish?
Move that the mayor and council approve resolution number 19-1370.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Hewish. I heard a second by Councilmember Grijalva. Any discussion from council?
Just, Mayor?
Yes.
I think to say, the least we can do for everything that you do for us. You keep us safe. The least we can do is help you stay safe out there. And thank you for all that you do.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor?
Mr. Huish?
Chief, if I could please ask you, is this sufficient to meet with your rotation? Or will we be seeing, I believe you will request in the future a more extensive purchase along those lines to be able to meet that warranty program?
Correct, it's cyclic, so it depends on how many events have come to expire at the same time. Right now, it's just a handful, but I want to say in 2020, 2021, we're looking at probably about half the force.
Great. We'll be looking for it.
Thank you. Roll call?
Councilmember Morales?
Yes.
Councilmember Lindemann?
Yes.
Councilmember Hewish?
Yes.
Councilmember Shelton?
Yes.
Councilmember Soto?
Yes.
Councilmember Grijalva?
Yes.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, motion carries.
And Mr. Mayor, just for the record, Mr. Pedrosa is not present, and he walked in at 6:58 p.m.
Thank you for joining us, Mr. Pedrosa. Item number 15, discussion decision on approval of resolution number 19-1371, a resolution of the mayor and council of the city of Douglas, Cochise County, Arizona. A resolution of the mayor and council of the city of Douglas authorizing the execution of an intergovernmental agreement between the city of Douglas and the Southeastern Arizona Government Organization, SEGO, to provide the city of Douglas with civil engineering and project development services through its Regional Technical Services Center. Apologize for the confusion there. Ms. Watson.
Yes, Mayor and Council, this item before you will help save the city money by being able to call for services through our regional partner, SEGO. They have done an overarching agreement with the city of Sierra Vista for using their civil engineers when smaller communities like Douglas and others in our county need engineering services. So during this time, in between our own civil engineer and our coming in public works director, this would be a great advantage to us to go ahead and approve this so that we can provide them with various scopes of work as we have the engineering needs.
Mr. Mayor?
Mr. Hewish.
Move that the mayor and council approve resolution number 19-1371.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Hewish, second by Councilmember Morales. Any discussion from council? Hearing none, roll call?
Councilmember Morales?
Yes.
Councilmember Lindemann?
Yes.
Councilmember Hewish?
Yes.
Councilmember Shelton?
Yes.
Councilmember Soto?
Yes.
Councilmember Grijalva?
Yes.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, motion carries. Item number 16, informational items and reports from council and future agenda item requests. Do we have any participants from council on? Mr. Hewish?
Mr. Mayor, I'd just like to announce to my constituency of Ward 3 that I will not be running for re-election in Ward 3, but I will be running for mayor at this point in time. And just wanted to encourage the candidates that in my ward to please consider that prayerfully and come down and join the team. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Mr. Mayor, if I can, I just wanted to give an update on, last week I went to the AMC Town Hall where a lot of things were discussed. The main topic was really businesses coming to your city, and one of the, really the question marks when it came to businesses, when they wanted to set up shop, whether it was domestic or international, was where do I go to so I can know what do I need. And I think that's one thing that maybe the city here can do. You know, they've asked for, you know, maybe like a sheet of paper. This is where you of all this, like a checklist of what they need in various languages also, because if we want to attract Mexican businesses here, a lot of them don't read English. Maybe we can have it in Spanish. You know, we've been trying to attract international businesses other than Mexico, maybe have it in those languages also, but sort of like a checklist so they can feel comfortable. They know who they can get a hold of if they have any questions and those expertises. So I think that was a great idea, and it would help us evolve as a business.
Terrific. Anybody else? No? I do want to point out that last month I was not here, unfortunately, but I had the great privilege of representing the city of Douglas at the White House. I had an incredible exchange with the Vice President Pence, and I was completely honored to be able to talk about our community, to talk about the Port of Entry, to talk about economic development, and how we should not be trying to fix our immigration, a broken immigration system at the border. Simply, it's not good for business. It hurts us. We should be focusing at the root cause of this issue and why the surge of migrants are fleeing their country, opposed to sensationalizing the border. The experience there at the White House was extraordinary because we got to, I had an opportunity to also talk about education, healthcare, and other things that can definitely improve HUD, being one of the departments that we have strong contact with. So, like I said, this is a great time for us. The collaboration with council, the collaboration with community members is essential. And that is the only way that we can move the city forward, that is working together. So thank you for that privilege of representing you all at the White House. And if no other council members have any comments, I'm going to jump into the next item on the list. Great. Item number 17, discussion decision to call for and conduct an executive session under the following ARS 38-43103. First item is A, under A-4, discussion or consultation for legal advice with the city attorney regarding lobbying services contracts that are the subject of negotiations for the city of Douglas. And this is a non-action item. And we have an addendum agenda. One, discussion decision to call for and conduct an executive session under the following ARS 38-43103 under A1 to discuss an employment matter concerning the city attorney. May I have a motion to approve?
I make a motion that we approve and then that we go into executive session.
Thank you, Ms. Shelton. Is there a second? Motion by Councilmember Shelton, second by Councilmember Morales. Any discussion? Roll call.
Councilmember Morales?
Yes.
Councilmember Lindemann?
Yes.
Councilmember Hewitt?
Yes.
Councilmember Shelton?
Yes.
Councilmember Soto?
Yes.
Councilmember Quijano?
Yes.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes. So we're jumping into executive session at 7:17. Thank you.
Keith is a good friend of mine. Oh, good. I'll look forward to working. Very good. Very good. Right now, they're almost finishing 14-hour story. You didn't recognize it? I just saw you out of the corner of my eye. That's good. I'm excited about that. Very exciting. That's project number one. My daughter, I went to that meeting. No, I